This is Chapter 7, The Impact of Social Media. Defining social media. The tools of social media keep changing, making it difficult to provide one definition of the terminology. John Jantsch, author of the Duct Tape Marketing blog, has offered one explanation of the term. He suggests that social media embody the use of technology combined with social interaction to create or co-create value. This can be understood as a convergence of mass and interpersonal communication. So social media do differ from traditional mass media. One key aspect of social media is the adaptation of a dialogic model of many to many communication. In the past, broadcasters distributed messages to many, but the audience members had only limited opportunities to share their thoughts and provide feedback. In traditional media, the distribution of ideas by an individual are constrained to a few options, like writing letters to an editor or purchasing an ad in a paper, distributing flyers, etc. An additional constriction concerns access to resources. That said, social media distribute content for free. In traditional media, the news is filtered in editorial decisions, and thereby professional filters are set in place before the content is disseminated. Journalists function as gatekeepers. The publish then filter model is more common in social media, and therefore challenges mainstream businesses models in the media industry. Social media do not restrict the flow of information to the public. Traditional media then serve as sources for news and agenda setting, and reach larger audiences than do social media channels and sites. Social production is another significant area that we need to discuss. Social media and traditional media often have a collaborative nature. This results in low cost. Collaborative and participatory media also rely on the free and open source software FOSS, F-O-S-S movement, in contrast to the standard profit making business model of software that sells knowledge, like the Encyclopedia Britannica. FOSS operates on the assumption that information and knowledge should be freely shared. A new global media ecosystem has emerged that is based on an open source model and relies on collaboration, interaction, and sharing. One such example is the Wikipedia base, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Volunteers then assist in a project as part of distributed commuting. This culture of collaboration, then we see this a lot, especially when we look at sites that are crowd funding or crowdsourced. So looking at sites like Kickstarter, GoFundMe, and several others where they utilize what people do, real people, and ask people to support them financially or through volunteer work or through ideas to help them launch an idea or a campaign off the ground. The more support that you have, the more likely you are to have something go into production. The less support you have, the less likely you are to have that same support. So, what is social about social media? People's media habits are changing. Although some say traditional media are no less social than what is being touted as revolutionary, transformative new kinds of media. The Center for Social Media and the School of Communication at American University has identified 5 fundamental areas in which people's media habits are changing. And they have recently changed their name to the Center for Media and Social Impact. So if you have a chance to visit or to go look at their website, they're actually now calling themselves the CMSI instead of the Center for Social Media. The first area is choice. This is because people use a variety of ways to interact and find media content that suits their taste in style and genre. The second is conversation. This is the defining characteristic of social media through discussion groups, Usenet, email, instant messages, and Twitter, for example. These opportunities have been provided to continue to help people as important tools that give them the ability to communicate easily with each other on a scale and in ways that they could not do with traditional media. A great example of that would be Xfinity or Comcast, where they are entering back into the scene, asking people to have conversations with them on Twitter, saying, hey, we'll use social media to talk to you. Let us know what works better for your schedule versus what works better for our schedule. So trying to showcase that they're people-centered and that they're also in touch with what millennials like ourselves are doing and how we communicate. Curation. This is when social media environment shifts the role of traditional gatekeepers of information and knowledge to gate watching. People gather and classify content on their own, seldomly relying on the opinion of media professionals or librarians. The classification of content happens by tagging or creating folksonomies of definitions, which helps consumers organize a vast amount of information and content. Sites like Flickr, Facebook, YouTube, for example, encourage tagging among users. Obviously, you can also tag on Instagram. You can also tag on a myriad of other sites. And you can, if you have shared delivery amongst these sites, those hashtags carry on for those different populace that you are friends with or that follow you on those sites. Creation is then another area where digital media tools make it easy and cheap for people to create content. However, the digital culture freely borrows from existing media to create something new, challenging intellectual property laws. So the big argument in communications, especially amongst us social media researchers, is if and how you are supposed to get information from people. If it's public, is it up for grabs? Do you have to pay them? Do you have to give them royalties? Do you even have to acknowledge that they created it versus if it's private and you have to request it from them? Collaboration then is the last area that they have identified, and collaboration underpins much of social media, and in some political or social movements shifts from the online realm to the offline. The most successful online political campaigns also incorporate real world meetings where people can socialize. So when President Obama used online campaigning and based his strategies on the experiences of political predecessors such as Howard Dean, who also relied on online communities, this helped to create a multifaceted, multidimensional platform. And you see how Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump continue to use those either for the better or for the worse. One of the earliest pioneers of electronic displays that preceded the World Wide Web was developed in France in 1980 called the Minitel. And if you look to the right of the screen, that's their actual portable version of the Minitel, which was basically a portable laptop. And if you look to the left, the woman in the picture is actually using it in an office. So I think it's really cool and interesting to see where we've evolved from. Another type of social media is email. So, email or electronic mail was one of the first uses of the internet and is still the most popular use today. It is an exchange of messages via telecommunication between two people or multiple people, depending on the mailing list. So, listservs are automated mailing list administrators that allow for easy subscription, subscription cancellation, and sending of emails to subscribers on the list. So, for example, we're on Bowie State's listserv. We all receive emails, give or take, if the infrastructure works correctly, based on our roles within the institution. So, we receive university-wide emails. We receive emails based on classes. We receive emails based on maybe our majors and different things that we are, or different listservs that we are a part of. Unsolicited emails are called spam, and this is the popular form of email advertising or just email messages. Companies try to create software to filter spam messages and prevent the server from clogging. Obviously, given what happened at Bowie recently with the email servers, this is not always the case. So, even when companies and organizations do have really great spam filters, hackers and different organizations figure a way to assert that and go around that. Still to this date, China has previously been the #1 source of spam for us in the United States. Discussion boards and web forums are another form of social media. So these are types of online bulletin boards. Messages can be seen by others who come to the discussion board and in which they can post responses to create their own discussions on a new topic. So we use these most frequently probably in Blackboard and Scholastic Spaces, but you can also have discussion boards on different sites that encourage that. Usenet was created in 1979, and that's the precursor to the web forums. And discussion boards are separated by categories called news groups, typically. Another type of social media are called chat rooms. Chat rooms are virtual rooms in which a community of users can visit and talk with each other through text messages in real time. They are different from instant messaging, although both take place in real time. Chat rooms are synchronous, but they also pose problems. They can be chaotic and noisy, as well as some chatters can monopolize a conversation or repeatedly post the same messages, a practice which your book describes as scrolling, which we probably most often and critically know as trolling. So a great example of a chat room today would be an app like GroupMe, where you are able to participate in a group and communicate with one another via SMS text messaging or via actually the app on your phone that allows you to see not only the content but the pictures, members personal pictures, and any digital content that they add into the conversation. And as you know, with GroupMe, you can block people, you can jump in and out of the group whenever you want, and also, it's really easy to see who is already on the site that you can connect with and start a group with. This now ends part 1 of social media impact. We'll move on to part 2.